is a true story from the last couple of years, and this is Sam's case study for the class. So Louise Tran is the other lady that you can see in the picture. Oh, sorry, she's the lady, not the other lady. The other person that you can see in the picture is Louise. And Louise worked with me, and this is our story. So this is a kind of a Sam and Louise story. Okay, let's go. So it all began in 2018, and this is a farm out in Windsor. And Oz Harvest as an organisation are a food rescue organisation. And as you can see, looking at this picture, these are orange trees in New South Wales. So Windsor is about an hour, I think, from Sydney, about an hour. And all of these oranges were going to go to waste. And they were going to go to waste because the supermarkets would not take these oranges because they weren't perfect sizes. So let's watch a short video. I want to introduce the problem statement to you, which is a short video, which introduces the scenario. Here we go.
My name's Angelo from Cornwallis House. We're at Windsor. We have an orchard with 1,500 trees of oranges, Washington Navels. The main reason why oranges go to waste is the blemish on the skin, or the size isn't the right size and they're too small. However, the internal quality of the orange is perfect.
So that's a bit of an introduction to the problem statement. All of these oranges on the farm were going to waste, and it was causing, obviously, economic problems for the farmers, but also, of course, environmental problems as well. So half the oranges grown in Australia go to waste, which seems ridiculous, yeah? Just because the supermarkets won't take them on. So let's get into the story. So Oz Harvest are a not-for-profit, but they have no funding from the government. So they wanted to figure out, how can we come up with a way of creating a bigger impact, but also by funding and creating, basically by raising some money, because they don't get much money from the government. So a new company was set up in 2018, and it was called For Purpose Co. And this was the innovation arm of Oz Harvest. So they introduced this arm of Oz Harvest, and then they started to try and figure out, how can we make money? How can we get a revenue stream, but also which is aligned to the purpose of Oz Harvest, which is a company that are all about food rescue. So just for all of you in Singapore and in Tokyo, Oz Harvest take food that would have otherwise gone to waste, a lot of it from supermarkets, and they take it from the supermarkets and they give it to people who need food, yeah? So we're talking about fresh produce, we're talking about milk, eggs, meat, vegetables, and they're taking these products from the supermarkets when they're about to go, the expiry date is up, and they are giving them to the charities and other people who need food. So Louise, who is my co-teller of this story, though sadly Louise is not here. Louise has just had a baby, actually. So Louise has just had her second child, and she messaged me the other day with the exciting news. But she was in Singapore, so I like it that this for the team in Singapore, there's a good connection here. Louise was in Singapore in April 2018, and she saw one of these machines. Give me a wave if you've used one of these machines. Give me a wave. Who's had fresh juice? Oh, quite a few of you. Awesome. Lots of people in Singapore waving. I don't know whether Dees, have you seen these in Sydney, or Ray?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I did. I did see one in next to CommBank in.
Yeah, hang on, don't spoil the story, Ray. It's coming.
Also, Macquarie Shopping Centre then.
Yeah, the story's coming. Yeah, there's one. There are a few in Sydney as well, and that's what this story is all about. So at the time in 2018, Ray, there were none of these machines in Australia. Okay, no one had this machine in Australia, but Singapore had had these machines for a few years. So Louise thought, wow, this looks like a good product. We could look at doing something like this because you put fresh oranges into it, yeah? So with this vending machine, it's a vending machine that you put fresh oranges in and it makes a fresh juice, as many of you have experienced in Singapore. A picture of Sam and Lou when Sam wasn't just a virtual person behind Zoom. When I was in the real world, or maybe this is the real world now, everyone. Maybe Zoom is the real world, and maybe the world I was in before was fantasy. But here's Lou and Sam, and here we are in front of the first of two machines that arrived in Sydney. So we got two machines into Sydney, and they've been beautifully done out in the Oz Harvest colour scheme. And we've got to now, we can use these two machines to test our hypothesis. So here's the real story. So who are the target customers here in Australia? People wanting a healthy lifestyle, but with limited time, and people who care about the planet, and caring about the impacts of food waste. So that's our target customers. Our riskiest assumption: will they trust the quality of a fresh OJ from a machine? So many of you had this as your riskiest assumption. Will consumers trust the quality of a fresh OJ from a machine? Hypothesis. We believe that people will be comfortable to purchase a fresh OJ from a vending machine, which will drive enough sales to make a profit when the 12-week trial of two machines is complete. So the hypothesis is really important. We believe that people will be comfortable to buy from the machine, which will drive enough sales to make a profit when the 12-week trial is complete. So many of you are very close to what actually happened. The experiment, the team were using Scrum and Agile, so I was coaching Louise and the team. They came up with a 12-week experiment, and they were working in 2-week sprints, and they were going to validate their main hypothesis through the experiment. Let's share more. Louis.
Question is, what's the rationale around the 12 weeks? Why 12 weeks?
Because they thought that 3 months was a long enough trial to get data. They didn't think they'd get enough data in a shorter time. And also from a consumer perspective, Louis, you want to put it in a space where it gets noticed, and it might take a little bit of time for that pickup as well. All right, so let's see what happened next. So here was the hypothesis, the riskiest assumption, and the experiment. So here you can see, and I think, Ray, this could have been the one that you saw in near CommBank. So here's one of the machines. It's sitting outside, and it's they've really, you can see the color and the intrigue that they've brought in terms of the marketing. They've also used this space, which is a work site, and they've put it in a temporary location by a work site and used the graphics all around it to bring this to life. So this is a temporary space when they're in an area where they're building a new building. So I thought it was a really great example of a product owner using that space as well. So the experiment, there was going to be the outdoor juicer, and then we've got the indoor juicer. And Ray, this one was inside CommBank. So this was at Commonwealth Bank Place North. Commonwealth Bank Place North. We put the indoor juicer, we put inside the corporate organization. So one of the machines went inside a corporate and the other machine went outside. And we were going to do an A/B test to see which machine was the most successful. Now, with the indoor machine, we created feedback. Here you can see me and Lou on the left-hand side creating some posters, and we put these posters next to the machine. There was also a digital feedback loop, so there was also, the machines had a digital feedback loop, but we put this to give people inside the organization a chance to give us comments. This is Ronnie Khan on the right-hand side, having a play as well with the machine. These were some of the comments that we got, which is interesting. Somebody noticed, if you look at the top right, someone noticed that it was only $4, Ray. The outside one was $4, and we were charging the CommBank people $5. And someone else mentioned this, yeah. So somebody picked up on this. Why are we paying more for the one inside the building? Someone else commented that $8 is what they charge in the local cafe, and I'm only paying $4 or $5. So they loved it that it was a lot cheaper than the cafe one. People love the taste, refreshingly sweet. Best way to start the day. Some people saying we didn't like the plastic straws and lids. And what was interesting is that they weren't plastic. They were made from plants, but we didn't make it obvious enough. And someone else saying it wasn't full. Why wasn't my cup full? So some really great feedback, yeah? A really great feedback from customers on many different aspects just by putting up this visual board next to machine to get feedback. Now, this is the feedback from the digital survey. So there was a survey that people could fill out as well. And there's some interesting data points. So taste, excellent feedback on taste. These were the questions. Imagine you were doing one of those digital machines and it says, answer these 5 questions, yeah? So they got lots of good data. 57 people responded. And you can see the time period as well for the 3 months. It was September 2018 through to November 2018. This was the time period. And this was from the CBA one. This was from the indoor one. And you can see that the people enjoyed the taste. Value for money was good. Not quite as good as taste in terms of the results. And usability was pretty good. There's a few negative comments on usability. Would I buy it again? Look at that, 95%. 95% of people said they'd buy it again, and gave some reasons as to whether they would or wouldn't. And the message in terms of what resonated was around rescued, the fact that it was using rescued juices. So great data, both from the kind of informal feedback loop that we created, as well as the formal feedback loop. This is fascinating. Here's your experiment results. These are the 2 machines. What do you notice? These are the 2 machines. The top line is the outdoor machine. The blue one is the indoor machine. What do you notice?
Look like CommBank people go out and use that machine.
They don't what?
Low, because when one is low, the other is high. These are sort of complement each other.
Why is it low? Why does the blue line go very low sometimes?
Because it's hot actually.
Saturday and Sunday.
Outside it's hot, so they need a drink.
Yeah, there's another reason.
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday, the office is closed, yeah?
Yes, the footfall.
So 2 days a week, there's no customers. Can you see that for the blue line? 2 days a week, there's no customers. So that's interesting in terms of the volume. So the outdoor machine is performing a lot better. And on sunny days, so whoever picked that up, sunny days was definitely making a difference, yeah? So the record day was when there was no rain and it was a public holiday, was the record number of days. And the worst performing day was on a rainy day. So fascinating. Yeah.
The uptake at CBA is slowly decreasing, while the uptake of the outside one is increasing as they figure out it's cheaper outside.
Yeah, that's right. If you look at this initial burst of, you can see it's gradually going down, yeah? Gradually going down. And so that's also a really interesting view. So the corporate folks it wasn't going up. Now, what was fascinating on this peak, the outdoor juicer ran out of oranges. And Louise and Ronnie. So Louise phoned up Ronnie, who's the CEO, said, Ronnie, can you help me? And they basically got some more oranges and had to go and fill up the machine themselves. They had to fill up on that sunny day, they had to go fill up the machines themselves. And that's a picture of them in action doing just that. The CEO, for those of you who don't know Ronnie Khan, she's the CEO. The CEO is filling up the machine. Here's the numbers, the results in terms of revenue, and in terms of profit. They made $10,000. They made $10,000 in 3 months, which is phenomenal. And as per the data that I showed you, there was definitely a preference for the outdoor juicer. Look at the average units per day. The outdoor one sold 70 units a day on average. and the CommBank one is 19. That's if you with the weekends, but if you take out the weekends, it's still only 29. The outdoor juicer was twice as successful. Elizabeth.
Hi, so I realized this hypothesis, this experiment, it seems like this real life case, they are not just testing the riskiest assumption, they are testing every single assumption at the same time.
They are testing many things. They are testing many things, Elizabeth. And the reason they could do that is, of course, because we had two actual machines. Often as a product owner, when I'm testing my riskiest assumption, it's before I've built the product. This was a bit different because the product was complete, yeah? Which is different from a typical agile project where we might not have the whole product, but we might be building parts of it, yeah? So that's how they were able to test many things at once, yeah? Because they had a finished product. So after that, after the experiment, things went crazy. And this was interesting. The group that said, let's make it hip, this became hip. This was a craze around Sydney, and there was an unexpected pull. You can see the bright marketing that would have helped. But customers created a movement. Phenomenal. People went crazy for this product. Hashtag Juice Fans was created on Twitter. And people were going bananas, not bananas, oranges. I can't use bananas. People were going crazy for these oranges. And here's a great message from Ella, who was a student, and saying how amazing she thought it was. And it's not just the taste of the machine, it's watching the machine do its thing. Yeah. If for those of you who've used the machine, just watching the way the oranges circulate through the machine, it's a fantastic product. For those of you who've been on the CSPO class with me, it's the purple. This is a genuine purple cow in terms of standing out from the crowd. Here are the stats. Here are the stats. So this story, of course, started 3 years ago in 2018. As of September 2020, so 12 months ago. So in the first couple of years, they sold. So the two machines spread to 50 machines. They sold over 400,000 cups in the first 2 years. Rescuing 2.5 million oranges. 2.5 million oranges, which is equal to 460 tons of oranges. This is the footprint of machines across Sydney. Phenomenal. This is the spread across Sydney, the 50 machines. It was about to go across the country, but what happened? COVID-19.
COVID.
I'll talk to you more about what happened next, because as any great product owner, Louise decided to pivot. I'm going to tell you in this afternoon session, I'll tell you what she did next, because the machine sales slumped by 70%. Yeah. I'm going to finish this session with a video, then we'll go to lunch. Here's the video. This is what was on national television. Enjoy this. Goes for, if I can find it. Yeah, it goes for a couple of minutes. This is what was on the local news.
Unfortunately, the public does buy with their eyes.
We're all guilty of it, examining fruits and vegetables, searching for that perfect or pretty one.
We are very picky, and we still walk into supermarkets and to our fruit and veg stores and want to choose the most beautiful things.
And that's why these blemished or green oranges will end up in landfill. For citrus farmer Michael Sergi, it's heartbreaking.
How much of these oranges don't actually make it to retailers?
Well, at the moment, with weather conditions, around 50% wouldn't make it to the retail sector.
But a new vending machine is changing that, taking unwanted oranges destined for landfill and turning them into fresh juice. It's the brainchild of food salvage charity Oz Harvest, scattering the vending machines across the country, and it's proved a hit.
In Australia, we waste $20 billion worth of food every year. And in the last 3 months, since we have collected the oranges for Juice for Good, we have saved 10 tons of oranges from going to landfill. That's 55,000 oranges that have now been used. The biggest challenge for consumers is realizing that blemished produce often tastes even better than perfectly shaped produce. And in oranges, it's exactly that same case. Blemish means nothing to the quality of the juice or the quality of the inside.
People think that that is not a good orange, but if you give it a cut,
Oh, it's exactly the same.
inside's just full of juice. There's nothing wrong with that at all.